Everybody beware, you better prepare. Disaster can happen anytime, anywhere. Everybody beware, you better prepare. Disaster can happen anytime, anywhere.
Greetings, everyone. From Danger to Safety is a production of the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, and I'm your host, Vesta Southwell. Today I have on the program as our guest, Mr. Lesroy Williams, who is the Director General of SKNIS, or as Goldwyn Keynes would say, SKNIS. I wanted to invite Lesroy to speak with us a little bit about communications during emergencies, because at this juncture we have had lots of issues, and we continue to have issues over the years when we put out information that might be circumvented by fake news or information that might seek to derail what we are trying to accomplish, which is national resilience. So thank you so much for joining us today, Lesroy.
It is my pleasure to be here.
I believe that. We've been seeing some videos. I'm going to get straight to the point because we have a limited time and I want us to cover a lot of areas. We've been seeing some videos recently where persons are saying that there is some activity occurring at Mount Lyamega. Now, we've already reached out to the University of the West Indies Seismic Research Center and the authorities there to find out if we are under threat. They have said no. But these things continue, and we continue to be required to respond to them over time. What do you make of this type of, is it mischievous activities from the public? What do you make of it? How do we address it?
Well, Vesta, when I was growing up, I always used to hear my mother say that the devil finds work for idle hands. And there is some element of truth to it. Mm-hmm. People like hysteria. Mm-hmm. They like a lot of excitement, if I can use that word. And because something is happening in St. Vincent, mm-hmm. the eruption of the La Soufrière volcano there, and its impact upon the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, there seems to be some thinking that the volcanoes in the Caribbean are linked, and that with the eruption of one volcano, in this case, that being the La Soufrière in St. Vincent, that somehow it is going to trigger mm-hmm. the eruption of other volcanoes within the region. That is not so. And even though people have been told that that is not so, they want to start some sort of you said fake news, mm-hmm. but really fake news is an oxymoron, mm-hmm. because news by its definition is not supposed to be fake.
Right, it's specific.
It's very, very specific. Mm-hmm. It is information that is accurate, verified, and so on. So this type of behavior mm-hmm. on the part of some, when they disseminate information like that, and we're in the age of social media.
Absolutely.
And with social media, you use the word mischief. A lot of mischief is basically done, and sometimes it is done in pseudonyms. People use pseudonyms, they use nom de plume, mm-hmm. and they hide behind that sort of a thing.
Right.
As the general public, we have to be media literate.
I like that.
What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that we must be able to fact check. Check our facts. We must check our sources. Are our sources credible? Mm-hmm. Is the information reliable? Is the information valid? And we check multiple sources. before we can arrive at any sort of a sound judgment
Right.
or conclusion.
Right.
Today you find that that is not happening.
It does not.
And we only have to look at what is happening with the COVID-19 pandemic.
Sure.
Something as serious as that, that has caused millions of people, over 3 million people dead, countless others infected, untold suffering, economic hardship, and other types of hardships, depression, and so on. And look at what is happening. There's a lot of disinformation and misinformation and malinformation. Now, we tend to mix the terms up, but let me define them. Disinformation basically is false information. False information that is put out there with a bad intent. And the intent basically is to hurt or to harm persons, groups, organizations,
For whatever
a
reason.
government or country.
For whatever
so it
reason.
is intentional.
Right.
And the intent is to spread false information to hurt and to harm,
Okay.
to mislead. Misinformation, on the other hand, Vesta, is false information, but it does not have that intent to hurt or to harm or to mislead, but it is false information
Right.
anyway. Malinformation is information that is real. It is real information, but with the same bad intent, to hurt, to harm, to and so on.
So it might be skewed.
It might be skewed and so on, but it is real information. And we find a lot of that happening today with the advent and the proliferation, so to speak, of social media.
Yeah.
What has to happen is that people must be trained to be media literate. They must be trained to be critical thinkers,
Whose responsibility would that be?
not to be gullible with everything that they hear. Well, we can speak, it's a multifaceted, if you want to put it that way, responsibility. First, really and truly, the art of critical thinking must come from the family, which is the first agent of socialization.
Okay.
And people must learn to be critical thinkers in the home.
Right.
And there are ways that parents can do that.
Question things.
They can question things and so on. But sometimes we don't grow up in that atmosphere
Right.
where we can question anything
Yeah.
because we are told, you know, you are to be seen and not to be heard when you're a child.
Perhaps if when you were growing up, you had to debate with your parents even for $5, like
You have
I
to
did.
debate. You read the
You had to
news-
make a case for $5.
You
like,
read the
know.
newspapers.
Yeah.
You have certain discussions in the home and,
Yeah.
and various topics. You share ideas and opinions. That doesn't seem to happen anymore in the home or even at the dinner table.
Sometimes in
or-
the schools
or
even it
anything
doesn't
like
happen
that.
because to me they teach you academics, not necessarily, as you've said,
Yeah.
critical
You
thinking.
you have to teach people how to think. And not just to think, but to think out of the box.
You were saying something in the beginning about persons out there perhaps thinking, well, with the eruption at Lesroy, perhaps there might be something happening in St. Kitts. Now, I don't even have a problem if that is what you are thinking, because at some point I asked a question foolishly and I got an answer. As you mentioned, why are we reluctant to believe the response? The response is coming from the competent authorities. The problem I have with that, Lesroy, is that persons, they may be thinking that rather than ask a question, they put out information, as you've said, to say that something is happening other than we know is the truth.
They put out misinformation
Misinformation.
because it is information that is meant to mislead. People must realize that what they're doing is irresponsible.
Do you think they care?
Because I don't. But
Okay.
it creates unnecessary hysteria. It creates panic. It creates worry and so on, when really and truly there is no need for none.
Right.
And it is not a good thing. it is not a good thing, because especially when we're dealing with disasters. And of course, in the Caribbean, we have hurricanes, and we have, in this case, volcanic eruptions.
Yeah, but every year we have issues during the hurricane season as well.
Issues during the hurricane season. And again, it goes back to the public. And you will always have these people that are going to be misinformants and
yeah, they grab it and run with it.
And all of that sort of a thing. But what we have to do, and we have to put more effort into actually communicating reliable, accurate, and timely information. But not only that, to help the public to understand what are official sources, what are unofficial sources, where they must go for the reliable source.
Do we have a role in that? Both of us?
And both of us do have a role in that. For example, the St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service, which I lead, is the official government agency for official government information. Just as NEMA is the official agency in terms of disaster preparedness. Not just hurricanes, but of course, even in the pandemic and volcanoes, any form of disaster.
Right, management. Yeah.
And therefore, our communication strategy is one that has to be, we have to be on top of our game.
Right.
But at the very same time, recognizing, as you began by stating, that there are those bad actors out there who are always trying to put other information out there that is not official information. So we have to train people that in order to be media literate, that they basically must know what are the official sources and to go to the official sources for official information. If somebody comes to me and says to me, well, the CDC says that, you know, out of 2 million people that have taken the vaccine, 500,000 of them would have died. Do I just run with it? Do I just believe it? What is my first thing to do? Let me go and fact check.
Right.
Fact check is because I would say I haven't heard that anywhere else on any news station or anything like that. Let me go and fact check with the CDC. Let me go on the CDC's website and to see something like that, or to check other sources, the World Health Organization and so on, to get the official information. And that is what we have to train people to do. Because there are a lot of sources out there, but not all the sources are credible. Right. It's not everything that you see on social media. It's not everything that you read in a book or that you see on TV is accurate and true.
Right.
And so therefore we have to question things. Yeah. We have to challenge things. We have to ask, is this true? Is this a fact? Is it just opinion?
And it's critically important because it seeks to disable our capacity to prepare our communities for any potential impact. This is the part that really angers me. Now, one of our stakeholders at the UE Seismic Research Center reached out to me and said that they had been seeing some texts, some stuff out there. It was not NEMA who went out and said, well, people are out there saying these things and let's try to say that they're lying. Somebody, an official at UE Seismic, communicated with us that this information was being circulated and it was wrong. So they wanted us. Immediately we jumped into preparedness mode and started communicating the information as directed by UE SRC. Yeah,
I often quote that story of crying wolf and calling wolf.
Yes.
And when they will come and say wolf, 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 and they were telling a lie, and actually when the wolf actually came, that nobody actually believed anymore in the information that the wolf was there.
Can we do more to try to sideline that sort of thing, that sort of outside noise, do you think?
We can do more to sideline it, and the only thing that we can do to sideline it is to counteract the misinformation
with information,
with real information, and we have to be very aggressive about it.
And timely.
And timely about it. And that is extremely important because communication is important in disaster, because we are dealing here with the saving of lives.
Right.
We are dealing here with preparation, and we cannot take those things for granted.
Thank you so very much, Lesroy. I have to stop on that point. I have to invite you back because we have to continue this conversation. I know you're very busy, but we'll try to find some time to get you back in the studio.
Well, thank you very much. It has been my pleasure.
Thank you so very much for joining us on the program today. Please join us next week. We'll be back with another program then. I'm Vesta Southwell. Blessed.
Everybody beware, you better prepare. Disaster can happen anytime, anywhere. Everybody beware, you better prepare. Disaster can happen anytime, anywhere.